Okay. All right, Derek, welcome to Chaos and Recovery.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I don't know if I reached out to you about the podcast before the book came out. I think so. I think because you posted about 10 years of sobriety.
Getting there. I'll be 10 years in October.
Okay. Yeah. 9 years is what I... Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I remember you reached out, and that was right when I started picking up the book again. And I thought, well, I don't want to shamelessly plug a book, but if I'm ready to have something to offer, that'd be great timing. I know you released a podcast. Was it back in June you started?
I think actually it was April-ish.
April, yeah. I remember I bought the T-shirt right when it went on sale, and I knew it was something I eventually wanted to appear on. So I'm glad we're finally here.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Man. Yeah, great to have you. Before we start talking about the book or anything that's going on now, let's kind of hear what led you into recovery.
Yeah,
a little backstory.
So I wasn't a partier in high school. I have family members that struggle with addiction, my brother being one of them. So that really had an early impact on my life. I was always that person saying, I'm never going to drink, I'm never going to touch drugs. And to my credit, I never did touch hard drugs, but I did get into drinking early college. I knew it was going to be an instant issue, just given the fact that I, for whatever reason, would just drink until I was blackout drunk. Mm. It's kind of the same song and dance that happens with a lot of people, and I noticed my friends didn't need to do that.
Were you instantly a blackout drinker?
Not instantly. So, the first couple times I drank was with my best friend. We'd go into his father's liquor cabinet, maybe have a shot of Jameson and some orange juice and just go wander around the neighborhood.
Okay.
Didn't really think anything of it because the people around me that were addicted were they were waking up and drinking all day, or they were using at different points in time. So I was I'm not there. I'm a kid. I'm a teenager. This is what teenagers do. Kind of chalked a lot of it up to ignorance. Recognized, though, after college started that when most of my friends went away for school, I met a new group of friends, and they would drink. So I would drink a little bit more on occasion, and then I started drinking more than them, in our nights out, which would turn from Derek got really drunk last night, which at first is kind of funny, and then when it's Derek gets really drunk every night. All right, so that's just kind of who I became, and that I put a stop to that about 9 months in. So when I was 19, I just stopped, and I said, I kind of fell behind in school. I really wanted to get into RIC. I wanted to be able to get my degrees, so I realized I got to put drinking on the back burner. So I didn't have another drink until I was 21, and I felt that I must be a little bit more responsible now that I'm 21. I just thought you just wake up one day, you're an adult, and you can handle things.
Yeah.
First couple times I had a drink, I was only once or twice. And then my friends, half of them drank, half of them like to party. So I went out with the partiers one night and ordered a martini, and they looked at me oh shit, Derek's drinking tonight. And I was yeah, I guess I am. And then for whatever reason, I felt back into how I felt when I was 18, when I first started drinking, where I just got blackout.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it helped me. I realized it was helping me sleep. It was helping me deal with my loved ones who were suffering from addiction and stuff. And I was able to kind of deal with them a little bit better because at least I was sleeping at night, and it wasn't the right way to go, but it's just kind of the trap I fell into. Addiction kind of makes you believe a lot of things that just aren't true. I was in the restaurant business, so, when the bars close and the restaurant closes, we, us restaurant rats get up and meet together at different bars and just drink. And I knew everyone from people my age, 21, through people in their 50s and 60s that were doing the same thing. My friend, I stopped going to school. My friends that I had were graduating from college, and we'd go to trivia nights on a Monday or Tuesday. They were having 1 or 2 drinks. I was having 10, 11 in the time of a trivia game, 45 minutes. And, I would be finishing a beer before I'd get to the table, and then going back for more. So I started weeding out friends fast. I started getting in trouble with the law, and I think the third time I got in trouble, instead of seeing it as a wake-up call, like, hey, I need to get sober, I kind of went down another path. I was 27. I was like, I just got arrested for the third time. My life's over. So that put me down into drinking even more. And then I was upwards to 25 to 30 beers a day. And my, well, not wife, but girlfriend at the time, like, she was ready to leave me, and, you know, she should have. I don't know why she stayed sometimes, but at the same time, like, I guess she always saw that potential in me. So
Sure.
She kind of gave me the ultimatum, like, you need to quit drinking or we're done. I kind of had enough. I was just nervous because after drinking so much, I didn't think it was going to end very well. And of course, one morning, I cut down from 25 to 30 beers to 12. Felt fine, went to bed, woke up, and I was like clammy. And I told my now wife Jess, like, hey, I think I need to get to a liquor store, like something, like, I think I'm gonna cut down too fast. And it was like first thing in the morning, so she's like, oh, you're a piece of shit. Like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, okay, I know, but I need to get to a liquor store. We took a ride to a liquor store. I walked in, and I woke up in an ambulance. And they're yelling at me, you know, like, what are you on? What are you on? And I was like, I'm not on anything. I'm just actually going to get some drinks because I think I need to drink. And they're like, well, you just had a grand mal seizure. You just split your face open. Like, on the way down, I fell and hit my face on a shopping cart. Got to the hospital. I got stitched up, and the doctor was telling me, hey, I highly recommend you stay for detox based on what your girlfriend's telling us. Like, you do drink a lot, and for you to have still drank 12 beers and still have had this grand mal seizure, you're pretty deep in.
Yeah.
I said, well, my birthday's tomorrow. Are you guys open on Monday?
Sure.
And he's looking at me, but like every room like every face in the room was like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's like, well, the hospital's never closed, but I highly suggest if you go home, you go straight to a liquor store before you get there. I said, okay, I'll be back Monday, because this was a Saturday. And I did want to quit, but I know, because to finish the story, I left the hospital. We pull into another liquor store parking lot, go to get out of the car, and I wake up in another ambulance. Same EMTs who are now really mad at me.
No way.
Like, we told you to stay in the hospital. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're wasting our time. And of course they'd be mad. I'd be mad. You know, like, they could be actually helping people, and they're helping this kid falling around liquor stores. So I didn't have a choice. I stayed at the hospital. I don't really remember much of the stay. I had serious DTs. They had to put me into a coma. So the big birthday I wanted to be around for, I spent sleeping. Spent a week there, and then when they released me, I was like, I really do want to, like, quit drinking. I had court-ordered alcohol sessions that I had to attend anyway, and they gave me Klonopin, and they said, if you're having anxiety, just take one of these when you need it. Now, I've never taken pills. I've never thought twice about it. But they made me feel great, and I was telling my wife, just like, man, if I knew these existed, I never would have drank in the first place. And the label said take as needed, or up to like 3 times a day, and that's what I was doing. And the script was gone in a week. And I think I had like 30 of the pills. So me being me, I didn't have a doctor at the time. I called CVS to refill a prescription of Klonopin. And having no idea it's a benzo.
After a week.
And they're like, we don't just fill, like, what? And they're like, are you serious? So I'm trying to call different doctors to fill it. I obviously can't. And then I decide for the first time after going through 30 of them to Google Klonopin. And come to find out, you can have the same withdrawal symptoms as alcohol. It can kill you. Yep. And sure enough, 4 or 5 days later, I dropped, broke my collarbone, having a seizure, went back to the hospital. At the time, I hadn't had a drink in 18 days, and they were saying, you know, did you drink again? I'm like, I'm not. No, you can take my blood. Like, I was taking the Klonopin. I don't think they give people Klonopin coming out of detox anymore from the hospital. Wow. I can see why, but yeah. So then I decided, like, I'm never putting anything in my body again. Like, I never, like, did hard drugs. Like, so I didn't, like, I was, like, just stupid. Like, I should have, like, looked that up to begin with, what Klonopin can do in, like, different, like, benzos. But yeah, that was that. And then I started taking the alcohol session serious. I went to, like, a rehab place. It was an outpatient. Finally talked to a therapist about, you know, like, the root, because obviously, like, a lot of, like, addictions mostly just masking, you know, what the actual problems are. kind of unloaded on a therapist and got like a lot off my chest, and really kind of white knuckled that whole first year, because that was 2016 and to 2017. Like we didn't have like, there weren't a lot of podcasts, or there weren't a lot of people talking about sobriety. So I kind of just turned to, I already smoked cigarettes and I was eating ice cream every night to substitute it. But at the same time, I just refused to drink. And I was then I had to wean down from the Klonopin. So that I was kind of like working on that. I left the restaurant business. And I ended up getting a job working with with 16-year-olds, going door to door, not selling roofs, windows, and siding, but selling appointments. So the real salesman, like a real like entry level, like a child's job. But I had to make money, and it was a way for me to kind of get back into the workforce. Eventually, when I got to a year sober, I thought, like, do I post that I quit drinking? I just kind of fell off the map. Like not a lot of people knew a lot about me, because I usually just kept everything to myself. Like people knew, like, obviously I had a drinking problem, even though it wasn't ever like talked about. But so I post like I'm like, let me just put it out there into the world that like I quit drinking. I survived like my first year. I ended up taking real estate classes that led me into an entry level interview at Citizens for a loan processing position, and they gave me a chance, and I didn't look back, and it got easier. But yeah, no, I knew like there had to be a change. I mean, and you get arrested 3 times for the same thing. I mean, like it's you got to stop at some point, and I've seen alcoholism kill friends. Like I've seen addiction kill friends. I mean, I don't know how many people we've gone to school with that I've lost over the years, and it's not pretty. It's the only disease that tells you that you need more of what you're doing, even though it's going to kill you. But it was time. So,
what? Can you talk a little more about like kind of your sessions when you went to go talk to that therapist? Like you dug into some of the things, what brought you to excessive drinking?
Yeah.
Can you touch like briefly on some of those things?
Yeah, sure. So I think growing up so close to with loved ones that suffer from addiction, seeing that firsthand, there was a lot of resentment I was feeling towards my brother. He was taking up all the attention in the house, so it didn't really seem like it mattered like what I did. If he came home high, or if he came home like if he did something crazy, the focus would be on him. So like a hatred almost started like growing with like you have like sibling rivalries like growing up. Like we're only 20 months apart, so like there was like regular fighting, but like me and him, like there was just something that like it could get violent very quickly. And he resented me, I think, too, because I was the good child. I was the one that could kind of get away with things. I could kind of slip under the radar for a while. But with that, there was a lot of anger that I was holding inside, because I didn't like what happened in our house. Kind of like it was an unwritten rule, like what happens in the house stays in the house. So like I didn't really talk about my family life to people. The kind of like that isolation of my friends complaining about their parents not letting them use the car for the night. And that would like ruin like their day, where my normal kind of day was, well, my brother was coming down from whatever he might have been on and attacked me with a butcher's knife. That kind of thing was like an everyday occurrence sometimes. So it's like, how do I bring that into a conversation with friends without them looking at me like, who are we friends? Like what, like what goes on like with you? Like, and like, there's like the stigmatism of addiction, even as going back to like 2010s, like people kind of put their hands up. So I just kind of felt like this pressure of like, I have to keep to myself and I'll be that ear for like people that are going through stuff, but like I never actually discuss things like for me to different friends or family or anything like that. So I think with alcohol, I could open up a little bit more. I could sleep. I could that pressure and like that came out through anxiety would like go away when I would drink. And the more things would escalate with family, the more I would turn to alcohol. And then when things started happening with me with alcohol, everyone's like attention kind of was like, whoa, shit, what's going on with Derek? And I hated that. And instead of just like working through that, I just drank more, or I would smoke cigarettes more. And actually I can say like quitting cigarettes was harder than quitting drinking, because cigarettes were always my go-to of, I started in high school, and it was just easier for me to be like, oh, let me go have a cigarette, like kind of think things through. Or, you know, when I quit drinking, it was my go-to. And then when I finally quit that a few years ago, it's like, oh, now I have nothing. But talking to someone, going back to like when I quit drinking, like kind of like like explaining like what I went through, kind of took the pressure off because I didn't have to hide who I was anymore. I didn't have to, you know, like I was known as like the funny friend, and I did that as like a defense mechanism. Like if I can be the funny guy and like make everyone laugh, then they're not really going to ask me like anything about my personal life because they're not going to care because I can just deflect. So like the pressure of, which would be weird because then the days that I would be having like a good day, I wouldn't be like so like jokey or like so like making like a light of everything that people would be like, is everything okay? Which is also isolating because it's like, okay, great. Now that I'm being myself for once, people are asking me if something's wrong. So like, okay, like, so now I really don't know where I fit into this little like circle here. So, so like now, like I don't have to be that. So like if I like, and I love, don't get me wrong, like I love like being a smartass. I love joking around and stuff like that. But like I don't have to be. So like talking to somebody about that, like this is where like I'm at, really was really helpful. And it really only took a few sessions for me to like just like get everything that was like in my head like articulated to like the therapist and kind of work my way through that. And I think that's why like my now wife like ended up staying with me because I started opening up to her. I started learning how to like share my feelings more, which wasn't easy. Sometimes it's still not easy, but you have to start somewhere, right? You know? So yeah, it's I think just being able to get those feelings out was like the most important thing for me. In my early recovery days.
Sure.
You know?
So, no meetings?
No, I don't.
You didn't do any meetings or anything like that?
I did a few meetings. I found that, and it's nothing, like I'm a huge advocate for whatever makes you sober, like keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not against them. If I ever felt like I was kind of going down that route of like, oh, I might fall like off the wagon, I would definitely go to a meeting. I always find that when I go to them or I attend them, because I've done it for like a few friends, just going like with them. I also like, well, sorry, I keep coughing. I always feel like I'm freshly sober every time. Like I think the last meeting I went to, I was 7 years sober, and I walked out and I felt like I just quit drinking like the day before, and also like I felt like really vulnerable. And I don't usually feel like I never really feel like I need a drink. And I think because I quit drinking in my 20s, like in your 30s, like you kind of get to a point where it's like if I go to bed too late, I wake up hungover. So like, I can't really relate to people that drink anymore. Like we were just down in Florida, and I'm watching like people like all through like all ages just getting hammered, like walking through like the parks of Universal. And I'm like, if I did that in the heat, I'm like, I think I would die. Like I can't hang anymore. But when I go to a meeting, or if I sit down and like or sometimes I'll watch them, and I don't know what, it just does something to me. Like 10 years can feel like 2 days. It's funny how that works, and I think I think about it every day. There's like I have a lot of like dreams where I fall off like the wagon, and they're so vivid that like I actually feel drunk in my dreams, and then I'll wake up and be like, okay, all right, that's weird. Like that happens more times than I like to admit. Like at least like a couple times a week.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't know. There's still like some uncovered stuff that I need to like get out there. But at the same time, I'll dream that I'm drinking. My old boss is like asking me like, what the hell's wrong with you? But at the same time, like I don't. It's easy for me to kind of feel like that vulnerability of like that newer sobriety. It's not the only reason why I go to meetings. I think like for me, it's like it just doesn't like what I do for me like works for me. So I don't want to like break that. But I've never had anything against them though.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the great thing about recovery. Like, I mean, sure, there are millions of people that have gotten sober through the course of AA or NA or any of these other programs, but I mean, there's people that have come on here that's just like, yeah, I don't like meetings, and it's just like not my thing. Yeah. Like, I've also been at meetings in the past, and I distinctly remember this. I was maybe like 3 or 4 months, and I was actually living here, and I had my son Steven with me, and we would go to this Friday night meeting down the street. Every Friday. And one Friday I went and I listened to this guy tell his story, and he said something about Coke, and all of a sudden my mouth started watering.
Yeah.
And the entire meeting, all I could think about was just doing blow. And I just picked up my phone while my son's sitting right next to me, got on my phone and texted my dealer and asked him to drop a bag off in the mailbox for when I got back from my meeting. And I've done that a few times at meetings where I just let the impulsivity of the desire and want of just like a word, being said. And that's all on me. It's not because of the meeting.
Sure.
It's blatantly because I'm just not, I'm not being truthful. I should have told somebody, or I should have made the right course of action, but I blamed that meeting,
Well, it's embarrassing too. I mean, even smoking cigarettes. I mean, I quit smoking. It'll be 4 years in April, and I walk by sometimes people smoking, and I'll think wouldn't it be nice just one more time, just like that, just having seeing someone having their morning cigarette with a coffee outside, it's like, oh man, I miss those days. And you can feel, that want goes away within a couple of minutes, but man, those couple of minutes, a lot go. I could go to the store quick and just have. You can really justify a lot in such a small time frame.
Yeah.
That it's you really have to get that ship turned back pretty quickly, especially on vacation, or anywhere really that you don't really have access to tell someone. So I'll just tell my wife man, I could really go for a cigarette, and she'll just be like, shut up. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then my brain's just somewhere else, but for those couples, that's why, it doesn't really happen with alcohol. I have to say, the more time you get under your belt, there's a lot that doesn't really happen as much anymore. I used to have trouble sometimes going to restaurants where I'm fine going out to eat, but then I start getting anxiety, and I'm not actively thinking about drinking.
Sure.
But why am I feeling like this? And then I'll realize, I'm facing the bar. Yeah. So somewhere in my brain's hey, look at that. We can go grab a quick beer right now. And then I'll just I'll kind of redirect it, or I'll just say to my wife hey, I just had a weird craving to have a beer, and she'd be like, okay, well, you also haven't had a drink in almost 10, so what's going on? I'm like, oh, nothing, I'm good now.
Yeah.
And I think just saying it, we live in a world where sometimes you get punished for saying how you feel. I just, and I think nowadays people are so open to say, hey, I have troubles. There's so many podcasts, there's so many more outlets that you can go to that that you're not the only one dealing with the you said all you had to hear was somebody say Coke, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And that does happen, but knowing that there's others around you that have those same feelings can really take the pressure off for sure.
Yeah, and I've been so powerless to the fact that not saying anything to somebody is going to lead me to use. Mm-hmm. And I know that for a fact. Because I've picked up the phone. I've picked up the phone before and called a sponsor and said, hey, I'm thinking about using, and have not used.
Sure.
And I've wanted to use and not picked up that phone and used. Mm-hmm. And it's
it's a sure shot.
It's 100% sure. Yeah. And there have been years where in trying to get sober, where I've been all I have to do is pick up the phone, and I won't go out and drink tonight.
It's got 9 lives.
Yeah, right? 8.5 now.
Yeah.
And I told myself all I have to do is pick up the phone.
Sure.
And just the process of speaking how I'm feeling, what my mind is going through, just getting it out there like you're saying, like you do with your wife. Mm-hmm. It's so powerful.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I agree. It's kind of this immediate diversion, and I think that it can be shown in so many aspects of life, or addictions, or, starting to spiral, or you're having anxiety, or, this issue happened and it's I'm going to sit here and fester it for the next 3 hours instead of making the call and being like, hey, I'm feeling this way about it. What's up?
Sure.
And then it's handled. It's kind of that immediate action. It's the choice before the choice.
Right.
So...
Well, we can also manipulate ourselves and tell ourselves, look, if you tell that person that, they're gonna look at you like an idiot, or you can handle this by yourself. Mm-hmm. You don't need to tell anybody. Yeah. It's not that big of a deal. And I used to tell myself all the time, little cravings, And then every time, I might not use that day, but that little craving stacks on another little craving that I say, another little craving. And by the time I got this fucking pile of cravings, that's just nagging at me and ready to go.
Yeah, and I know for me, like, there was a stint I had in 2015, so like a year before I quit, where my grandfather had passed away. And my biggest regret up to that point was the fact that I had stopped going to school. I was still working in the restaurant business. I hadn't done really anything that I thought would make him proud. So that was enough for me. So he passed away on a Friday. I drank until Monday, and then I didn't pick up a drink for like 2 weeks. And I finally thought, like, I think I'm going to turn this ship around. Yeah. And I was still drinking once or twice a week, and making up for like those. Don't get me, I was getting hammered on those once or twice, but I started looking at careers. It was enough for me for like 7 or 8 months where I was starting to figure it out. And I had moments where I had opportunities to tell people, like, hey, I'm making, like, changes, and I just didn't. I can remember specifically one day, because I had quit drinking, I was losing a lot of, like, water weight. And I was never big to begin with, but, like, I just carried, like, that's just puffy, you know, just from drinking, like, so much. And you don't realize you're putting on a few pounds. You don't realize you're losing a few pounds until, like, you really notice. And I was getting ready for work. I couldn't, like my pants just kept, like, my belt wasn't tight enough for me to keep them up. I'm, like, holding them up. And my boss was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, keep your pants up. And I could have easily just said, like, hey, I could just quit drinking. Like, I'm not drinking as much anymore. And I know for a fact he would have congratulated me and said, like, hey, great job. Like, you know, we're rooting for you. But that also would have led me to, like, finally have said out loud, like, I have a problem. I'm working on it. And I didn't want people to look at me like, okay, Derek's going to be touchy. Like, you know, Derek might be this. So I just didn't say anything. And then thought, like, well, great. Now you're doing something great for yourself, and your boss thinks you're on drugs. So, you know, it's like one of those, like, you know, but it's just now that I have it out, like, in the open, like, you know, I'll go on, like, on social media and say, like, hey, I'm this many years sober. Like, I've had opportunity to say, like, I was able to accomplish this because of my sobriety. Now I feel like more power in that, whereas before it was like, my first year, even maybe the second year, I didn't tell anyone that I was working with that I'd quit drinking for a little while, just because I thought, like, well, then he's going to be looked at different. Now it's going to be if I go for a promotion or I go for another job, they're like, well, you know, he had this problem. And there are still people that think like that. I know, like, you know, I've seen it firsthand. Most people don't. I think, like, a lot of corporate places, they have, like, a better wellness vision, but that, I want to say, that hasn't really strengthened probably only within, like, the last 5 to 10 years, because so many people have come out and said, like, I'm not doing drugs anymore. I'm not drinking anymore. Like, so many celebrities come out and they say it. Like, kids these days, not a numbers guy, but it doesn't seem like kids are drinking that much anymore.
Well, the percentage has gone drastically down, like, the last 10 years of like teenagers and stuff starting drinking at a certain time and stuff like that. And, like, even drugs and stuff like that. I mean, this year alone, the overdoses has been significantly down. Yeah. And what's that related to? I don't know. Maybe it not being such a secretive thing anymore. Recovery, you know, it's modernized. It's acceptable now. It's almost idolized now. You know, it's a comeback story. It's like,
and I think a lot of it's trying to break cycles. And I think the more new generations are finding out about addiction, the more they don't want to become that. And a lot of us, I think our generation, we knew about it, but for a lot of us, it wasn't enough to save us from it.
Yeah. Sure.
But at the same time, now that we know, and now, like, a lot of us are trying to break that cycle here, now we'll have to have those conversations with our kids, you know, but at the same time, like, it's getting broken, and the more it breaks down, the more it's talked about, the more, like, people grow from it. So, you know, I think, for me, I don't know, because I always think back, like, well, what if I never, like, did have that drink, you know? But it's genetics, so I could have anyway. And I might have gone through my 20s without a drink, but started drinking in my 30s. If I started drinking, like, when my son, like, you know, was born, I could have, like, ruined my family. You know, there's a lot there's so much that could have gone wrong, that could go wrong with the what ifs, that it's like not worth saying, but I could be here. I could be making this much money. I could be living here, because you have to take into account what bad could have happened too.
Yeah.
So while I did have not great experiences while drinking, at the same time, my son and the next generation is going to have such a better life because of it.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, it's just one of those, what do you call it? Drawn a blank, but you know, it's one of those blessings, I guess. You know, I had to learn the hard way so my son could, you know, have a better life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
What's that?
Bittersweet. There we go. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
What's that TV show? The More You Know.
Yeah. NBC, those ads that they used to run. Yeah.
No. You don't remember that? No.
It used to be the rainbow, that kid with the star.
The More You Know. I forget what that was. Anyways, the first year of being sober, how was your relationship with your partner? She was just your girlfriend at that part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was a pain in the ass.
Yeah?
Real big pain in the ass, because I was having panic attacks every day, because when you quit your drug of choice, mine being alcohol, it feels like you were just shot out of a cannon, and you're just looking around, and it's just like that ringing noise in your ear. You were like, I need to get I just wasted so much time of my life. I've ruined all these relationships. I have so many people I need to apologize to, or even if I don't even know if I can for some of them. You know, I need to get my ass in gear, but I don't know where to start. So I really white knuckled my whole first year, because you get into such a rush. Like, I got to fix this, and that just makes it worse. So while I was getting help and I was opening up a little bit more, it didn't make things better for a while. I picked up eating ice cream every night, and I gained 50 or 60 pounds, and I'm wondering why the next morning I was so jittery, because because now, instead of having the alcohol come down, now I'm having a sugar, my blood is all over the place. So that wasn't helping. Me and my girlfriend had to kind of get to know each other, because the first few months I drank most of the time. So it's you were getting to get to know each other. Is this even worth it? Do we even know each other? Yeah. I grew up with her, so luckily I think the reason why she did stay was because she did know at one point I did have my shit together. And I think she saw the potential that I could still actually do that. So it ended up working, but we'd go out to eat, and I'd have so much anxiety, I couldn't even swallow at restaurant. I would just be I'm just gonna get my food to go and then just eat in the car. And that's weird. If we didn't know each other growing up, who would stick around for that? And so it wasn't really until I posted and just put it out into the world, hey, I'm sober, that I started becoming a little bit more comfortable and started gaining a little bit of confidence back, and saying I'm done letting me keeping to myself ruin my life. The people that I care about who are still suffering with their addictions are still, even to this day, suffering with their addictions, and I'm letting that eat away at me, and I'm letting my own failures eat away at me. It's time to just step put my foot forward and just start again. So I would say my second year of sobriety was when I really started to get gears in motion. I got the job at Citizens. We started saving up for a house. I started working on my credit, and I started doing things in pieces rather than trying to fix everything at once. I used to love writing. I remember my first year of sobriety, I created a Facebook page where I was writing jokes and all this other just trying to get put out a bunch of material. But that was the work of a manic person. It wasn't really fleshed out. There wasn't anything there was no substance to it. But I was well, this is what I was good at, so let me just fling that out into the world. And that didn't work. And so it's just kind of I just white knuckled it the whole time. Our relationship kind of suffered, and then but we still saw it through, because I was still actively trying to work on myself. The more time that kind of goes on, the more at ease you get. And then that second year, I don't know, something just kind of clicked, and we just were fine. It was almost we woke up one day and I was okay, we're done with this shit. That's also when I stopped going to meetings too. Yeah. So I don't know if that kind of played a factor. But I just kind of I want to figure that, I kind of want to just let me figure this out on my own. My view of it was, I've talked to somebody, they keep telling me how I need to live my life and telling me what I need to do, but unless I start doing it myself. Like, I'm just going to be like, I don't want to be dependent on a person telling me how I need to be doing things. I just need to go out and do it.
Okay.
And I think that's why, like, I just didn't really go back to him, but I always kind of feel like I have that in my pocket. It's like, if I need to go talk to someone that's like more than Jess or more than a friend or something, I have that here. And if I had to take it out, I know things are getting pretty rough, and luckily it's still been in my pocket ever since. So, but you got to be, you don't want to get overconfident. So I think like even like having like those weird like dreams of me like drinking like that wakes me up into like a cold sweat of like, oh yeah, no, I can't do this anymore, you know. So yeah, that first year was rough though, and it's great to see a lot of people in their first year thriving. I've seen people on like your show come on, they're in their first year of sobriety, they're still playing shows on stage, like surrounded by, like I couldn't do that. Yeah. I had to leave the restaurant business. And I know people who are 30 years sober that never left the restaurant business, but for me, I'm like, I need to get out of it. Like, I don't know what I need to do, but one thing I need to do right now is get out of the restaurant business. And at the time I didn't have a plan. I was still actively drinking, but like to me, I was like, well, I'm making some kind of progress. That's another thing we like to do is just, you know, excuse our own decisions, but yeah, it was rough though. It was not the first year of sobriety I was seeing, but at the same time, it was great for me because I felt like without that amount of I guess you can call it like a darkness or like that time, I don't know if I would have like the drive and the motivation to be successful now.
Sure.
You know, I think there's a certain people should thrive, but I also think there's got to be a lot of times of like things aren't great, and sometimes they shouldn't be, and then you're building on that. So it's really been like really awesome to like see people now like say I quit drinking like 3 days ago. Like cool. Like I never would have done that. That's such a vulnerable place to be in such an early recovery that I think that's giving people more power. That just wasn't my experience.
Sure.
So
I'm sure there's a culmination of different things and many things that attribute to your wanting to and ability to stay sober. But would you say like that do you have a particular why that you kind of always track back to, or, you know, have a certain remembrance through your like sober journey that like keeps you grounded or keeps you sober?
Yeah, I think it's just seeing family members, like loved ones like suffering with addiction that just like for me, like I don't want to be that for my family. It's taxing, it's a burden. I think Al-Anon is just as important as AA. Something I could have like used when I was a kid. I just didn't really know it existed. And I think like now if I could do one thing, it would be like help out like kids, because they usually suffer in silence, because what parent's going to be like, oh, you want me to take you to the meeting where you get to talk about me? You know, like, it's just like that doesn't happen. So like, it's really kind of hard to get to those people. So for me, it's just like, I've seen the damage of what it can do to a family. And for me, it would just be so selfish if I just said like, I'm throwing in the towel and I'm going to drink and I ruin my son's life and my wife's life. It takes a toll. And it still takes a toll on me, you know, like there's still a lot of stuff that I deal with, and I'm not fully like okay with, but at the same time, I have my sobriety, I have my family, I have what I want to be able to succeed in, and I have what I definitely don't want to like go near. So that really keeps me grounded. My son's never seen me drink. I haven't had a drink in my 30s. You know, there's a lot of little wins that like you can like find like along the way.
Sure.
And you can like stack those up, you know, as you go on and say like, well, I accomplished this, I did this. And you don't want to get like too overconfident, because if you climb the mountain too fast, you can fall off. Yeah. But those stack. Yeah. And I think time has a lot to do with that. And I just think just understanding that it's not your fault why your loved ones might be dealing with their addiction. You don't know why they started their addiction. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of like fights and stuff. And now that I'm on the other end of it, like I can talk to my brother. Like I don't. There used to be like, oh, you're on drugs. Like just like figure your shit out. Now it's like, well, if you're going through something, just like talk to me. You know, like we don't really talk like that, like per se. Like, you know, he moved and but like it's always been one of those, and I think a lot of siblings have this like, I can say things about him, he can say things about me, but like if somebody else does, it's like, whoa, you know, and
I get that.
yeah.
I've had that conversation a few times.
So like we've had blowout fights, and like it's gotten really physical, and it's gotten real like scary there sometimes, but like, and then 10 minutes later we're like best friends. So it's like, you know, it's a weird dynamic, but at the same time, it seems like work for us. And, you know, like I come out of my addiction having more, just like being more mindful of him. So like, instead of like being resentful and being mad or being this or that, it's like, dude, like I just want the best for you, you know? And I think for me, and then the best for like my other, like other loved ones that suffer from addiction, like it's just like, I don't want to come from the angle of anger anymore. And that's hard. That's really hard because anger is the number one thing that you kind of go to. And I still sometimes try to like work on that. You know, I can be like a little bit short fused. I'm not perfect, but at the same time, I'm a lot better than what I was, because when I would drink, sometimes that anger would come out, and it's like against the wrong person. And I'm confronting someone I'm not even really mad at. I'm just drunk and just like, and I'm like landing here.
Sure.
And I'm waking up in the morning. Nothing's resolved from the person I'm actually upset with. I have now somebody that's pissed off at me because I just like went after them for no reason, other than the fact that I was drunk and upset. And instead of just telling them how I felt about this person, now I've got two people mad. So like, it just, and that multiplies very quickly when you're drinking every night. So yeah, I think like that really just kind of keeps me grounded in that. Like, I don't want to see like people affected by my drinking anymore, because I know how it feels from the other end of it. So
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
I'm excited to talk about this.
Before we talk about it, what brought you to wanting to write this book?
So I knew if there's one thing I'm good at, it's writing. I went to school, and I was going to go to school for English, and I was told there's no money in it. So I ended up going for accounting, and then I stopped going to school. So it didn't really make a difference anyway. And then we had our son during COVID, and I was 31, 32. And I thought, like, I don't want to be the guy that never tries to, like, write anything. I was also, like, those late nights where, like, your baby's just, like, up all night, and it's, like, 3 a.m., and I'm just, like, sitting holding him. And I was thinking, like, what if I fell off the wagon? At the time, COVID had been around for about 7 or 8 months. So, and I know a lot of people that did fall off because it was like being stuck in your house. Like, that was a really hard time for people. Yeah. I just felt how fortunate I was, but I was thinking, like, what if I did? What would that look like? And what if the worst case scenario happened? And I felt like, well, what if I wrote about it? And I'm like, because I don't really open up to a lot of people, one thing I can do is I can articulate it through writing. So I thought of a story of a guy that dies in a drunk driving accident. Because we were already kind of locked in our houses because of the pandemic, it was an easy thing to think about. Like, well, what if his spirit's stuck in his house and he has to watch his family grieve? What if he has to watch his son fall down the same cycle that he did? So then I sat down, I think it was like 12 chapters. So I sat down 12 times, knocked out 12 chapters. There's still insecurity that comes with sobriety. So I sat on it for a few years. I didn't want to like release it like right away because I didn't want people to be like, oh, this is like horrible. And then I don't know, I was on I'll be sober 10 years, knock on wood, in October. And I thought, like, it'd be a disservice for me not to release it, because if I can help just one person, like, I need to do that. I think there's a responsibility that comes with sobriety, that if you're successful, then you need to like show other people how you can like obtain it. So I hired a copy editor, hired a cover artist, and I threw it out into the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking before. Okay, so the name of the book is called Dog Bowl.
Yeah.
Where can people find it?
People can find it on Amazon. I've got paperback and ebook. Cool. It's also at Forget Me Not Fables in North Providence. It's at Book Lovers Gourmet in Webster, Mass. And it should be in Barnes & Noble sometime in the middle of March in Bellingham and Smithfield.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Doing a book signing at Barnes & Noble's too, right?
Yeah, so I found out the way that works is they order like copies. I do the book signing, and then they take the additional copies and put it on their shelf. So it won't be on. You can buy it online at Barnes & Noble right now, but you can also just wait until like the book signing in March. So the easiest place to get it right now is Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's kind of, I've had people reach out people I work with that, in the corporate setting, it's still kind of like nobody really talks about like what they go through. But like, hey man, like my father died from alcoholism. My mother, she suffers with it. Like down the line, it's like, all right, cool. And like, it's like your book really resonated with me. And so for me, it's like, all right, cool. Like I wrote something that like it's not dog shit. So like and like that's something that we kind of like be proud of. And it wasn't. I went into it without it being sales driven. I wanted to be able to impact people. And while it impacts people, and now the sales comes. So like for me, it's like, all right, so I'm getting like kind of like the best of both worlds now. If I never write anything again, I'm okay. I think it's like a little bit of a success that it's having. I do want to write again. But yeah, so that's how that came about. So super excited about it.
Yeah. So we were talking about it before. Really? The concept is great.
Yeah.
Love the concept. I think I was reading the first chapter, and all I can think about is like, this has to be part of his story.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that it was, but like,
yeah. So there's definitely it's not a memoir. I'm not dead,
but that first chapter.
But yeah, so there's definitely some things that happen in the book that are similar to what has happened in my life. It's fiction, so you have to like kind of take stories and times them by 10 to like keep people interested.
Sure.
Some things I just flat out made up. But it's roughly based off different like aspects. Like the family dynamic is kind of similar.
Yep.
I just and I have a close relationship with my parents. So like those conversations of like, is this about? No, it's not about us. It's it's a book. It's a fictional book. Like don't take anything to heart. Like nothing's
right.
But so there's definitely aspects in it. There's a lot of like, because it's first person. There's a lot of selfishness that goes on with the main character that happened. Like when I was drinking, there's a lot of things that like I would say, well, I'm not that bad because I'm not doing this, or like I'm not, like I'm not waking up. And I wound up doing all those things as I got towards the end of my drinking career, as you could call it. But it was definitely some chapters were easier to write than others.
Yeah.
For sure. But it was still fun to do.
But yeah, once Burnsy came into the pictures, I was like, this is a great addition to it, because that banter back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blow up the book, but like the banter back and forth with each other.
Right.
It's once again, it's a great concept to just kind of like lay out reality once.
He's trying so hard not to say it.
I am. I'm trying.
You could say it, man. I'll come on and say it. So his character came from the idea of, as I was going through sobriety those first few years, and I think everyone does it, and you don't even have to you could get out of a relationship and say this. All I need to do is get back to myself. So many people say it, and every one of them are wrong.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have been in the position you were in if old me was the one that picked up the bottle. And I was so cocky when I was when I did stop drinking the first time and before I ever drank, that I'm never going to drink. I'm never going to do this. I'll never be that person. But inside I was hurting.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting my emotions out. I was just kind of coasting through life, having this cocky attitude, which Burnsy is very cocky in the book. Yeah. And I also kind of need to add like a little bit of humor in the book, to not like really weigh down everyone. And so I wanted to add that character in of like, you don't want to go back to the person that you were, because you came out of it stronger. Be the person you are now.
Right.
And I think that's so important for people. And you hear it all the time. Like, I just want to be back to like the person I used to be. It's like, do you? Like, is that like something you really want to go down because that person got into the situation that they were in?
Yeah.
So that's where his character came from. He was probably the best character in the book, I thought, like the most fun having, because he was the one that got to be a smart ass and like make the jokes. But
it was almost like he had no stake in the game too.
Right. It's not until later in the book where like things get a little bit heavier for him, because he has to kind of look in the mirror and realize like, oh, that was me.
Right.
And I kind of cleaned that up like towards the end. But yeah, at first he's like, what the fuck? Like I had everything all set. Like, what did you do?
Yeah. Thanks for fucking this up.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read it.
It's fun. And originally the book was actually double the size. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. I want it to be. I'm like, I want to be able to like write like a long book, and people will be impressed. They pick up this book that I wrote, and then like I read through it, and I'm like, half of this is just bullshit words, like just and And then I had 5 years later when I like looked at it again, I'm like, I want to be able to write as short as possible with sending the biggest message that I can. I'm like, I'm finding that there'd be more skill in that than just throwing a bunch of words on the page. Right. So I wrote it, I finished it, I looked at the page kind of like, oh shit, that's pretty short. And then I Googled like how many books like are like this many words, and it's like, well, Of Mice and Men is I'm like, okay, that's a really good enough. Yeah. I'm gonna put it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a lot of just I think there was a lot more personal experience that I put in like the original manuscript, and then I kind of had to like look at it and be like, well, this isn't a memoir. I use my name as the main character's name because I couldn't think of a name for like the first like go around, so it was like. So Derek this and Derek that, and I'm like, I got to get away from me, like, and just get this like off my chest. And like the book was an easy way for me to articulate a lot of the feelings that I had when I became like a father, and I'm a stepfather too to Jess's like 2 other sons. So I always had like that kind of responsibility, and it's like everything's always like a learning experiment.
Sure.
So experience, not experiment.
That too.
Yeah. But those are thoughts I've had, and it's just like to be able to like kind of like push that out into a book. And it's like, okay, I'll still talk to the people I need to talk about like my stuff. But like if like people are wondering like how I feel about like addiction, how I like feel about like certain like scenarios, they can pick it up and just read like a fictional book and be like, okay, so that's kind of what goes on in his head. So yeah, it was kind of it was almost like therapy for me. You know, and now the next book doesn't have to be even about addiction; it can be about something else. I just felt like I had to get that off my plate.
Yeah, I think after the second chapter, I was hooked with it because like the twist of him finding out that he's actually dead. Yeah, I was like, oh man. Now I need to figure out what the hell.
When you started telling me about it, I was like, okay.
Yeah, okay. And he's such an idiot. Like he's so pompous in his addiction that he doesn't even believe he's dead. Like he thinks like the whole town's in on it.
Yeah, and it's exactly. Like the newspaper
and people. And I think that the best part about it too is like people that deal with addiction are the ones that reach out first, because I wanted to make sure like, even though it's fiction, I wanted it to be real.
Yeah.
And like with a guy that died, like I mean, obviously we don't know what happens like in the afterlife, but at the same time, it's almost believable in the fact that like, yeah, you are pretty dumb when like you drink, like you think you can like conquer the world and like you're untouchable.
Or at least you're not going to die when you're driving home from the bar.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Like nobody knows.
You're
like,
invincible.
Yeah. And, so like that concept was just like, what if I just make this guy just such a pomp? Like I want people to hate him and then get to know him. You know, and I think that works out well.
Yeah. So, I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense then. Yeah, because you find out a lot more about Wid's life and
you find out like, you know, like why Burnsy's so cocky, and then why they're both so hurt about the mother that suffers like that died from alcoholism, and like but then you find out why she like, you know, and I think like for me like so also why the book was so long was I gave like so much backstory, and then like through the years, like every time I watch a show or like a movie and they go like into a backstory, I just like shut it off because I'm like they ran out of ideas. Now they're wasting my time. I don't give a shit about the cousin's brother, and like you don't need an episode on that. Like that's not why I'm interested.
Yeah.
And I looked at my book. I'm like, oh, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do it then. Like I can't just like put something.
Builds trust, right?
Right, and it's like
builds compassion.
Like how many times will you watch a show and it's like you're really getting interested in, and like the next episode has nothing to do with that character. You're like, what the fuck? Like so like I just wanted to like just not do that to people. Like that's why it's like shorter. Like I want it to be like a punch in the face emotionally, and then you just kind of sit with it like after.
Yeah.
Which I think I might have accomplished. I don't, you know, it's had like pretty good reviews, which for me is flattering. Like I said, like I'm just like out to like help people. Now it's like something I can like hold up and say like, if you know, like I've been through it. I'm here to talk, like, you know, doing like these podcasts and stuff, like, you know, these are the first times like I'm talking about a lot of this stuff in this like forum, but at the same time, like I'll clean it up, you know, it's good, you know, and but I do think it's necessary. Like I said, like I think we have the responsibility to help others now that like we've had success, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing. First book, I mean, honestly, it's so digestible, one, but then there is not a lot of this, like you said, a lot of this like mumbo jumbo that's in a lot of these books, and it's just 500-600 pages long, and I have to read a whole chapter to figure out where he's going next, type of thing. I just want to read this one passage because like this one like really hit home for me.
You're gonna make me blush, dude.
Nothing was ever good enough for you. Not me, not the kids, the job, the house, nothing, Lisa says. Lisa, you're all good enough for me. Jake has only seen me drunk a couple times, and he's going to be 13 soon, and Robbie is just a baby. At least I'm not doing to them what my mother did to me. And, like I remember being accused of not loving my partner, my kids, my family enough to stop using.
Yeah.
To stop drinking.
Yep.
And my only response was, I love you. And then it's like, what if you love us enough?
Prove
like,
it.
why can't you fucking do this?
Yeah.
And I can't remember how many times I don't have a response to that because my actions speak a lot bigger than a lot of my words.
Right. Yeah. And especially too, like, there were so many times I was told, like, in relationships that I completely killed, like, you are so cool sober. And then you start drinking, especially hard alcohol, and you become an asshole.
Right.
And my response is, well, I don't want to be that person. I never wanted to be that person. You know, like every time I woke up, like I hated myself. Like, oh man, like what the hell? Like, it's like a Jekyll and Hyde. Like I hated drunk me, but drunk me hated how, like, weak that sober me was. That like, why don't you just talk to people? Like, why don't you just get it out there? So it was always like this struggle, and then everyone around me had to deal with like the consequences of myself just imploding all the time.
Yeah.
And there was so many times that I heard it, like, oh, it's not, because you do what like kids do when parents like go through a divorce. You blame yourself, like they're doing drugs or they're drinking because it's my fault. Like they don't love me enough. Like that's how it feels. And that's really hard to. It's really hard to stick around for, and I don't even remember what movie it was. And I don't think I ever will unless I watch it again. But somebody was talking about addiction, and they said it's harder to mourn the living than it is the dead.
Yeah.
And that has always stuck with me.
Heavy.
Like it is really hard seeing someone that you love just can't like figure it out. Whether it's like failed rehabs or if they go to AA and they're sober, they get that time in, and then I watch them fall, or to say like I'm going to be sober tomorrow, and then they pick it up like another drink, and then I became everything that I hated. Like you're an asshole when you drink hard alcohol. Well, instead of just not drinking hard alcohol, dumb would think, well, tonight I'll drink hard alcohol, not be an asshole.
Right. Did
that ever work? Nope. You know, it's just like you try to prove things in the wrong way of like, no. You haven't seen me. I could be great on like drinking vodka. Like you just haven't. Like I just had like a bad night, or like, and it's like that's just not. You look back and just some of the things like I would do to just prove a point that like wasn't even the point that they were making in the first place, and I still get like embarrassed by it.
Yeah, I mean, just like just the urge to fight to use.
Oh yeah,
like we can manipulate ourselves to think this is okay, this isn't that bad. I'll figure this out.
Yeah,
you know, all these thoughts of like this ego-driven mentality of like. Things aren't that bad yet. Mm-hmm. You know, they're just making things up. And, you know, I know my sister can talk more about this, but like, I mean, the other side of seeing the active user, seeing the destruction, seeing how good they are. Listen, I know how good I am when I'm sober.
Yeah.
I also know how bad I can be when I'm high and drunk. Mm-hmm. And I still make the choice to go do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't like, and I'm night and day, you know, but I still would relapse just because I didn't want to look at all the good stuff. I just wanted to look at the easy way out, you know?
The easy way. And I don't know, there's a certain, if you felt bad, that meant you had your excuse to go drink. So if you could turn into that like woe is me mentality, then that instantly justifies that. Well, I might as well go drink now. Mm-hmm. And it's almost disgusting to look back about how many times you would be perfectly fine, but then almost convince yourself like, well, I need to drink. Because I was always someone that I could either go with it or without it. Like either I was drinking and getting blackout drunk, or I wasn't drinking at all. It just so happened I was doing it every night. But like when I stopped, it was easy for me to stop it. After my grandfather died and go like 5 or 6 days. without it, just because I knew I was going to be able to get it twice. But that's all I thought about was like, okay, I'm going to drink on Monday and it'd be Wednesday. And it's all I would think about, like, okay, it's Thursday, 3 more days. Like, you know,
yeah.
But it's easy to get yourself in that mentality. Or if you're having a good day, it's easy to justify, oh, today's been a great day. I'm going to have a few drinks. And then a few drinks turns obviously to like blackout drunk until like I was drinking until I was sleeping. And then trying to explain to someone like that feeling of like, because the biggest thing I'd get, well, how come you just don't have a couple of drinks? And it's hard to explain that doom of like, I would try to have a couple drinks, and then my brain would be like, "Well, now you're not gonna be able to sleep tonight. Now you're gonna be up all night. Now, like you still have to do this tomorrow. Like everything, like it becomes such a pressure that I would end up getting more obliterated the nights I would try to be sober, or show my friends who could only like they'd go to like a night of trivia, have 1 or 2 drinks, and I'd be on my 5th drink by the 2nd round.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't say anything. I mean, they stopped calling me after a while, but, you know, like they would kind of look and, you know, I'd end up missing the 3rd round because I'd be out ripping cigarettes outside.
Sure.
And it was just, it just wasn't working. But I would find every excuse to. And now it's just, now I have other things that I do. I love that kid so much.
Should have known better.
What?
It's either screaming in the room or here. Yeah.
But no, yeah.
It's interesting to hear your you know, you having that, the both sides, because I heard that from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because me and Steve, brother and sister, we have a completely different experience still as children.
Yeah.
We're 18 months apart. We're very close. We experienced a lot of the same stuff, and we experienced a lot of different stuff.
Sure.
And our perspective on what is or what happened or what our lives was completely different.
Yeah, and it's instead of trying to find, I mean, me and my brother haven't actually like talked down to like really like sit down and talk about like our childhood. But like, yeah, like you said, like 20 months apart, 2 completely different relationships. Like me and my dad are like best friends.
Yeah.
My brother and my dad, then can they get along? Sure. But man, they could all out brawl. Yeah. And I didn't, you know, I think like most father, like my dad, blue collar, was never afraid of him, always afraid to piss him off, you know, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. You know, I learned a lot from him, and, you know, I think there's like a lot to like be taken. Like he wanted to see the best from us. He didn't have a great upbringing, and that would frustrate him when my brother would kind of take like the easy way out of things, and they would just clash. And, but 2 different perspectives of him. You know, my brother's terrified of him. They don't talk much, but me and my dad are like best friends. And like, it's hard to convince, you know, like my brother, it's not my brother, like they don't like love each other. You know, they'll talk and stuff like that, but it's just 2 very different dynamics. I can go to my dad for everything. My brother can go a year without calling the house, you know, because he lives out in California now. So, you know, it's funny you say that. It's like perspective is everything, and you can't tell someone that their perspective is wrong because you didn't live it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And in one way or another, you know, like, you know, you have, these are family systems and just cycles that have been bred for generations upon generations. And, you know, talking a lot about that and how, like, you know, how Al-Anon, you know, is important for the kid with the parent who couldn't tell them that they needed Al-Anon, or, you know. Just, I think what I'm getting at is you see and hear all these different stories, and we have many different people sitting in that spot, and you know, you kind of experienced both sides of that and like had a different drinking story. You know, it was a little later in life, and you know, you always kind of had whatever particular view on what was happening within the alcoholism or addiction in your family, and then you found yourself in a space that maybe you never thought you could be. And I guess for me, it just resonates in the fact of like, we all have something to be healing within our families or selves. Yeah. And I think that just to see so many different stories and the way it can manifest personally is like, it can go any which way, right? But these things are behaviors and traits that we are surrounded by or experience, especially if you've witnessed it. And it doesn't it can, it can make you stay all the way away. It can make you go all the way in. It can be a perfect blend of in the middle. And like, I find myself, unlearning codependency and working through the Al-Anon stuff. And I'm also like, I always like to say that I've never been far from really fucking up my own life. It just happened so that I was so consumed with other things that I needed to heal that I just didn't go down that particular path. You know what I mean? But there's unhealthy learned behaviors and like chemical releases in a lot of our brains that
it used to be easy too to be like, well, you're wrong. Like, and it's like, what does that even mean? Like, and I, even when I was drinking, I would still like point my finger at people that had problems and say like, well, what are you doing? It's just so easy to point out everyone else's problems. And I think part of that too is from being on the other side of that. Like when you're around like addicts, you become super. You just pick up on every little thing. Oh yeah. My wife gets so mad sometimes because I can like little nuances. I'll ask her like what's wrong before she even has registered something's wrong because I can just tell by body language. I can tell like I pick up on things like I'll tell someone like, oh, I don't think so and so like really likes me. And I was like, nah, come on, that's not true. I'm like, well, watch this the next time they talk to you and watch how they approach me. And it might be a subtle like way they're talking. It might be a look. It might, but I pick up on it first. Yeah. And I point it out. On that. And it's like, it's almost like a superpower. And it's like, I always can like.
And to pretend like you don't even know at the same time.
That's harder to do. It's like sometimes I just want to be like, you don't give a shit. But at the same time, so like being on that and then being in it, it's like you kind of okay. Who's really picking up? Like I would go to the bar and have a few drinks before the pregame, and then we'd go to drink. And I would always say like, well, people say, well, how did you get drunk so fast? I can say, like, well, I just didn't really eat that much today, so like I just got drunk faster. But when I would show up after my first few drinks at the bar by myself, I'd like be scanning and I'm like, is anyone looking at me? Like, I think this person knows I've been drinking. And I would know that. And like, so next time I would adjust. So like nobody would know. And it makes you, it's psychotic. Actually, now that I think about it, but at the same time, but now that I'm like away from that, it's like now I pick up on it more. Like it just could just be like a subtle like body language like change of like the arm. Like this person is not happy or this person's thinking like this, and like my wife like, how do you even know that? I'm like, I don't know. They just blinked differently. Yeah. I'm like, how do you know their blinking style? I'm like, I don't know. I just analyze everything. I think everyone.
This was survival mode at one point. When I was like,
Now it's just me. It's who I am. Yeah, I'm a Marvel hero. But yeah, no, it's funny you should say that though. That perspective thing is it's so true.
But yeah, it's great to hear your different perspective and story. I think it's it's really cool. And what came up for me when you were talking about your book and knowing the little I do about you is wanting to be a writer and always taking interest in it and talking about how your journey goes and, well, I needed to do this. And, then I started to finally write. Mm-hmm. And after you went through this whole story and it's like, in my brain, I think it's beautiful to live in La La Land and Miracle World a lot because I think it's true. And it's, you maybe never would have written that book.
Yeah. And you have
not gone through that story.
You really have to. I mean, you go online and everyone's just like, their opinions are all that counts, and I am very much someone that like. Let me just step away. Like if someone like bad, like if like political views and this and that, it's like okay, like whatever you say. Like I'm not arguing. Like I don't really care. It's as long as my family in my home and is safe and good. I don't like cool. Like live in your like you said like that. There's a certain like La La Land. Like I want my son to be creative. I want him to just like see the world any way he wants to see it besides what it actually is. And it's not a pretty place. Yeah. So being able to write a book then, but also having like my job kind of keeps me in like that balance of like, I can't just quit my job because then we'll be homeless. But at the same time, I can work towards this. So this can kind of go away. Like maybe one day down the line. And that keeps me sober. Like that, like things like that just can like, you don't realize like, most days, I will think about it at some point, but a lot of days, like, I get up, I do my thing, like I'm going to bed, and I'm like, I didn't really think about like drinking at all today. Like I didn't really think about anything today.
Yeah.
Like today was just a day, and that's a win.
Well, question, is this true that the thing that kind of took you away from your love of writing is now the thing that jump-started it?
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't write about like drinking, I wouldn't be probably sitting here. I probably wouldn't be, I would probably still be putting up like Facebook statuses or like Instagram posts like, oh, I'm like this many years like sober now. I think knowing that anyone can have an impact from or even if you're not sober, like you can be like, I'm struggling. I think there's power in that. But oddly enough, the thing that was my biggest burden has become my proudest moment.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like one of those, going back to like, do I wish I was sober this whole time? I could, but I wouldn't have anything I have right now. And like there's so many things that could have gone wrong that I never would have gotten around to writing that, or I could be dead. Like I could, I could have fallen down a trap. Any one of those nights like could have gone like really sideways, driving home, arguments that you get into, and I just look back and like I still look back and like kind of like shake like, man, that was a real bad night. Like that could have been really bad for me. So yeah, but going back to like what you asked, like, yeah, no, for sure. Like my experiences led up to me being able to like get something off my chest and do like what I love to do.
Yeah.
And now that like I'm getting my story out there and like talking to like different people and having people reach out to me, like I'm also checking off a couple of boxes and interested to see like where that takes me. I noticed like there's a lot, there's a lot that's going on in the wellness space as far as like corporate like events go, but at the same time, I'm not sure if there's enough. There's still a lot of people that reached out to me on the side that say like, hey, I deal with this, and it's like, okay, but that's cool. You're reaching out to me, but there can't be enough going on because you felt like you had to like do it privately. I think there's like a lot of areas still, like I think addiction's coming a long way. I think it's becoming a lot more visible, but at the same time, like there's always work to be done. And I think like we're kind of stepping into this place of like the unknown of like, how far can we take this? And I guess I'm sick of just sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I'd like to be a part of that movement and, cool. Seeing what you guys have done in like this last year, it's something short of incredible, and it's a lot to be proud of,
Yeah. Likewise, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there
Sure.
on any platform, writing a book, because there's going to be the critics, but majority is going to be like, fucking well done.
Yeah, no, I'm usually my own first critic. I did my first podcast appearance a couple weeks ago, and I was watching it, and I counted the amount of times I said like. And I was like,
"Oh, please!" We're gonna make a montage of all my yummy snacks.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
But like,
and I'm like, and I listened to it once, and the first time I listened, I'm like, all right, that wasn't bad. But then, so I heard something towards the end, and I was like, oh, I didn't really like how that came off.
Yeah, I don't listen.
And then I started from the beginning. I'm like, I don't like how this started. I'm like, I hated the whole middle. And it's like, I don't. I hope this goes away. And
we are our own worst critics.
Yeah, no, I hate it. Well, that's why I also kind of sat on it, because if I write something, like I didn't want to go through the editing process, because if I look at something I made enough, I hate it.
Scrap.
Yeah,
gone.
Gone. Scrap it.
I've looked back at some jokes that I posted like on Facebook, like going back years, like that memories thing, and I'm like, oh, that got like 110 like laugh emojis, like. But I read it, I'm like, I'm deleting them. I'm like, who gives a shit? It was back in 2017. Okay, no one's looking at it.
Like Little Wayne lyrics.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's like I'll cringe. So it's like I had to like step forward. I'm like, if I'm gonna release this book, I have to read it.
Yeah.
And I have to edit it. So so yeah, no, that was I guess that was also like a learning curve for me. Like you have to like not hate everything that you do.
Yeah. It's amazing to how much support is there when you let it in.
Yeah, absolutely.
You really see like, oh, everybody shows up for me because I'm letting them. Instead of already creating the narrative, everybody's going to hate it, nobody likes it, and you don't do it. And then you live with that narrative anyway.
Yeah,
so
Well, there's so many people that'll like make something and then they'll complain that like no one's like doing anything with it. It's like, but you're complaining. So like, why? I don't want to now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not my fault.
I mean, I think of how many people that, okay, so my mindset, well, people aren't going to like this episode. People are going to like what I just said. I'm worried if I don't say this the right way, then people aren't going to like it. And it's like the 99% of the people out there are not getting up and doing anything like this. They're not going out and writing a book and putting themselves on a platter.
Yeah, it's certainly easier to judge than actually do.
Right. And like you said earlier, like our whole motive towards this is, like you said, if it helps one fucking person, this job is done.
Yeah, and the people that aren't gonna like this episode or they weren't gonna like it to begin with. So
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to reach the people who are struggling. I'm trying to reach the people who are like have an open ear, you know. And I think I think the great thing about like these podcasts are that people who want the information are like really absorbing it. So like I don't think you're picking up those stragglers like, what is this?
Yeah.
And if you are, good. You know.
Yeah, right.
If they're complaining about it, somebody else might hear that and say like, oh, actually, I could like use that. You know. So like the big I don't know. Like I said, we live in an age where like everyone throws their opinion out there, and I don't really care about any of them. But you know, I think as long as like if they have a purpose, like that's good.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't fit your life, like you don't have to hate on it. Mm-hmm. You can just like let it be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like anything like we're putting out, if it's helping people, we got to keep doing it. 100%. You know,
100%.
Right.
Yeah. And there are things I critiqued about myself in the last and I know I will. On this one, I'll listen through. But the thing I hate the most that I said will be the one thing that someone's gonna be like, hey, when you said this, I loved it. I'm like, yeah, but I could have said it differently. Like, no. Like, if you said it differently, it wouldn't have hit me that way, you know?
You could just blame it on the co-host that brought a cat on. I was distracted. There's a fucking cat.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
If this has a Yelp, that's gonna lose a star.
Perception is fucking everything. And like, we don't know what other people are gonna be attracted to or not. And it's like, you know, I have to be reminded of that all the time because there's some episodes.
Great fear of life.
There's some episodes where I'm like, I'm a terrible host. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna hand it off to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then like the next episode's amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel great about it. Or that episode comes out and like 5 people message me and be like, you know,
like you got to keep doing this.
Yeah,
you're like, I hate myself.
I think the important thing is to just bring it back to the authenticity. It's like, you know, if you're authentic for yourself, you're not trying too hard. You're doing it for the reason you are.
Yep.
You know,
if you're honest,
we jump out here and we're like, we have no idea what the fuck we're doing, but we want to hear from you. We want to talk about something.
If you're coming from an honest standpoint, like it's really hard to criticize. Like you can't criticize someone's experiences. Like you can't like. I might have opinions, you know, like I might say like, oh, I don't do meetings, and I know people that go to AA that say you need me, like that might disagree with that, but I'm coming from my experience, and my experience isn't wrong. It's what I've lived.
Sure.
You know,
absolutely.
You know, and if somebody said, well, come, like, let me show you a different side of it. Sure, I'll come. I don't like, it's not a big deal. But at the same time, I'm just like, this is what I do to succeed.
Well, the fruit is in the labor. I mean, the labor. Wait, what? No.
Yeah, the fruit's always there. Yeah, it's just pick it right up.
What I'm saying is, everybody has a tool. What works for you works for you. It might not work for everybody, but if your end result is doing good, being good, I mean,
I am a big advocate for like when you first get sober, you need to talk to someone. Like I do fully believe in that because you need to figure out like why you were in the position you were in the begin with, and you're not. I don't think anyone's strong enough when they first quit to be able to figure that out first. Then you know you can kind of experiment and see what works for you. Cool. But I'm a very big advocate of like you got to talk to someone. You know, whether
we all do. That's
sure. There's a lot to always unpack. You know, that we kind of normalize, and then you talk to someone about an experience, and they're like, "You went through what?" You know, it's like, "Oh, that's not normal." Like, no, that's called trauma. But.
Well, Derek, thank you so much for coming on.
No, I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
We'll link you and
we'll put it all in the description where you can get the book and stuff. I highly suggest anybody to read it. But also, my last question.
Yeah.
Have you started on the second book?
I have the idea for the second book.
Okay.
I'm going to start it probably like in a month or so.
Cool.
Selfishly, I've been trying to like just soak in this experience because the next book could suck, you know. So like to have people reach out now, I kind of want to like take that and be like, all right, this feels good.
Way to foreshaddle.
But it's don't read the second one. I'm having ChatGPT write it for me.
Great promotion. You're like, it's not going to be as good as this.
The title's going to be "Don't Read." But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, man. And like I said, like if I can help, I can help. You know, that's big. Second book might not be. I don't think it's going to be about addiction. It might be sprinkled in, but I have an idea of what I want to go through. The second one, which should, you know, draw eyes, but at the same time, just got to keep it honest. And I think any work you put out there is just, if it's honest, it's hard to critique.
Yeah.
It's for sure. So, no, I really appreciate you guys having me on. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Even the kitten's been great.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being with little Kaida.
Bye, Kaida.
Star of the show.
Everyone.
Thanks, Star. Appreciate
it, guys.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Peace.